Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at a literal masterclass in foundation building. Imagine trying to construct a community, a whole movement that doesn't just survive, but grows into one of the largest in the world. Who lays those first bricks? Who pours that unbreakable foundation? Well, today we are exploring the life and legacy of a man originally named Abdullah ibn Abi Quhafa, but universally known to us as Abu Bakr As-Siddiq.
So how do you keep a community from completely collapsing when its founder is suddenly gone? It's a pretty terrifying scenario, right? Imagine a newly built house just getting slammed by a massive leadership crisis. To really understand how the early Muslim community survived this exact situation, we have to look at the man who stepped up to be the first caliph and the incredible structural integrity he brought to the table.
Section 1. The Foundation of Truth. Because let's be real, every strong house absolutely needs an unbreakable foundation. Born in Mecca around 573 CE into the respected Quraysh tribe, Abu Bakr was already widely known for his honesty, his wisdom, and just his deeply noble character long before the arrival of Islam. When Prophet Muhammad began preaching, Abu Bakr didn't wait around. He didn't ask for proof or hesitate for a single second. He accepted the message immediately. And this unwavering belief earned him the title As-Siddiq, which translates to the truthful one. That absolute immediate conviction, that became the bedrock on which the rest of the early Muslim community would be built. But, a foundation doesn't do much good if you don't actually build on it. Abu Bakr actively went out and recruited the next layer of builders. Through his direct efforts, some of the most notable early companions embraced Islam, men like Uthman ibn Affan, Talha ibn Ubaidullah, and Zubair ibn al-Awwam. He wasn't just sitting back as a passive believer, he was the primary architect helping to expand this new community, brick by brick. Section 2. The Ultimate Personal Sacrifice. So if belief was the foundation, and those early companions were the bricks, the mortar holding it all together was Abu Bakr's immense personal and financial sacrifice. Back in those early years, the community faced some severe persecution, and Abu Bakr willingly sacrificed his own wealth and personal comfort to aid those vulnerable Muslims. He literally purchased the freedom of enslaved believers who were being tortured for their faith, including the famous companion Bilal ibn Rabah. He essentially poured all of his own resources into reinforcing the walls of his community. And his support wasn't just financial either, it was deeply personal. Abu Bakr stood shoulder to shoulder with the Prophet through every single major historical test. From the dangerous migration, the Hijrah, to standing totally firm at the battles of Badr, Uhud, and Tabuk. They were also deeply connected by family, since Abu Bakr was the father of Aisha, the Prophet's wife. He was just this constant, loyal presence through every storm. The defining moment of that loyalty actually happened during the Hijrah, that perilous migration from Mecca to Medina. Abu Bakr accompanied the Prophet, and they hid together in the cave of Thor with threats literally all around them. Abu Bakr's courage, his fierce protection of the Prophet, and his absolute trust in Allah during that terrifying moment were so structurally vital to the faith that they are recorded in the Quran itself. Section 3. Weathering the Storm. So the house was built, and the community was strong. But every structure eventually faces a hurricane, right? And for the early Muslims, this terrifying storm threatened to tear the entire house down to its very foundations. That storm hit in the year 632 CE, marking the tragic passing of Prophet Muhammad. You really have to understand, for the believers, this wasn't just a loss, it was an earth-shattering crisis. The founder, the spiritual guide, the ultimate leader was gone. The shock alone was enough to cause the entire community to potentially fracture and completely collapse in grief and chaos. To keep the metaphorical house from caving in on itself, the community desperately needed someone whose structural integrity was unquestionable. And so, Abu Bakr was chosen to lead them as the first caliph. The man who was there at the laying of the very first brick was now tasked with holding the roof up during the worst storm they had ever faced. Section 4. Uniting the Divided House. What followed his appointment was honestly a true masterclass in management and structural repair. The passing of the Prophet had led to immediate, intense political turbulence. Rebellion sparked, and the unity of the state was in serious jeopardy. Abu Bakr had to act fast and decisively to keep everything together. First, he strategically suppressed the rebellions breaking out across the region. Second, by doing so, he successfully ensured the preservation of Islamic unity. He patched the cracks in the walls before they could spread. And third, in perhaps his most brilliant managerial decision, he initiated the compilation of the Quran. He ensured the community wouldn't fracture by physically securing their foundation. And this brilliantly illustrates the character of the man holding all this power. On one hand, he is the absolute leader of the unified Muslim world, wielding immense political authority. But on the other, he lived an incredibly simple, humble life. He continued to serve the poor. His leadership was never about ego. It was characterized by profound justice, compassion, and just a deep consciousness of his responsibility before Allah. Section 5. Preserving the Blueprint. Every community needs a master blueprint to survive across centuries, and Abu Bakr made absolutely sure this blueprint was saved. He initiated the monumental project of compiling the Quran into a single unified collection. Before this, verses were memorized or written down on scattered materials. By gathering the Quran into one definitive text, Abu Bakr secured the holy text for all future generations. He guaranteed that no matter how big the house grew over the centuries, the original blueprint would remain exactly the same. His time as the chief architect of the community was actually incredibly brief, but man, its impact was monumental. The year 634 CE marked the end of his caliphate. Abu Bakr passed away at the age of about 61, having spent literally every ounce of his energy, his time, and his wealth securing the faith he loved so much. The final point on his timeline is just a beautiful testament to his life. He was laid to rest right beside his lifelong companion, Prophet Muhammad, in Medina. In life, he never left the Prophet's side. Through persecution, migration, and battles, and in death, they remain side by side. Which brings us to a final question I really want you to think about. In a world of deeply divided communities, what could we learn from the truthful foundation of Abu Bakr? His legacy as the first caliph isn't just some history lesson. It's a masterclass in what it takes to make a community truly endure. It takes unwavering faith, absolute honesty, immense personal sacrifice, and profound humility. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep building, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.